Their marriage has become toxic and they fight most of the time. They used to tease each other for fun, but lately it feels cruel. Yeah, we've lost some talk. Hi and welcome to Flawsome Talk. I'm Ashley Flor, journalist, Hollywood truth teller, and your voice of reason in a town built on delusion. First of all, thank you to all my new members that became members of Flawsome Talk yesterday. You can join as well by pressing the join button under this video and get the perks that comes with membership. And also a big thank you to everyone who watched my episode yesterday. As I said, I went down the rabbit hole and looked at some of the older interviews with Ryan Reynolds, comparing the same story he told to what he said in 2025. And the story kept changing. If you missed that episode, you should go and watch it. Although some people commented saying that, a story can change over time because you don't remember all the facts. But I really don't think so. If you tell a story that's true, you remember if you sent someone a bottle of champagne or if you sent them a case of champagne. You also remember if their wife called you or if you read an article where their wife said something or if you actually ran into the person. So I don't know where the truth lies here. Maybe Tom Arnold can come out and talk about it. Some people suggested that I should get hold of him and see if I can get a comment. Maybe I should do that. Anyways, tomorrow is the end of discovery for Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. So this is going to be a very tense week. There's been no filings today as of the time when I did this video here. So I think they're all very busy deposing a lot of people. As you know, tomorrow is a big day when they're deposing the ex-executive from Sony, John Greenstein. He is a very important witness that I also spoke about yesterday, if you haven't seen that video yet. Also, there's a lot of stories out in the press right now about Ryan Reynolds' comment when he asked his wife to F off. There's more speculations that their marriage is in trouble. Also in this episode, I wanted to touch upon this public feud between Emma Watson and J.K. Rowling. If you missed that, it's getting very tense between the two of them, and Emma Watson just sat down for an interview, and now J.K. Rowling has come out and commented about it, and it doesn't look like the two of them are ever going to be on speaking terms again. Also, Taylor Swift just put out another teaser for her album that's coming out on Friday, so then we'll finally get to know if any of her songs are about her ex-BFF, Blake Lively. Anyways, as I said, Ryan has gotten a lot of backlash lately because of the things that he's said during this promotional tour of John Candy. If you missed that story, he tried to get hold of Bill Murray for a long time to appear in the John Candy documentary that he was producing. And then finally, when he called back, he was in the car with Blake. And he called and Blake was telling him, we need to get out of this car to go into this event. And then Ryan said, F you. He keeps trying to be funny and it's not going very well for him right now. As someone said on Reddit, the SEO is pointing at Ryan Reynolds swearing at Blake, which is quite interesting considering what all the headlines were last week when someone planted a story about Justin Baldoni and his legal team that they had hired someone to jump the fence at 2 a.m. at Travis Kelce's house to subpoena Taylor Swift. That story turned out to be fake. I spoke about that last week. If you missed that, you can go and find that video. But anyways, now the tables have turned and Ryan Reynolds is the one in all the headlines. And it's not great for him. Although this is a backlash of something that he actually said himself. And with Justin, it was something that was just made up. These headlines are not great. Daily Mail is saying Ryan Reynolds reveals shocking insult he hurled at Blake Lively over call from A-list celebrity. Page 6 is saying Ryan Reynolds hurled profanity at wife Lively during desperate call with Bill Murray. Then Yahoo is saying Ryan Reynolds' latest joke on Blake Lively isn't landing how he thinks. Hola magazine is saying Ryan Reynolds reveals the celebrity who made him curse at Blake Lively. Just Jared, Ryan Reynolds admits he hurled profanities at wife Blake Lively during desperate call with Bill Murray. So now, I guess within a couple of days, we will see a lot of stories about how nice and generous Ryan Reynolds is. because that's exactly what happened, the backlash from what he said and did when he was at Toronto Film Festival a couple of weeks ago, when he was rude to that kid on the red carpet, and he allegedly had a feud with Eugene Levy on the red carpet as well. Just a few days later, these articles popped up, one in Hollywood Reporter saying Ryan Reynolds donates to 13-year-old Welsh girl battling rare cancer to visit New York City. There's another one here. Hollywood star Ryan Reynolds awarded Vancouver's highest honor in private ceremony. I spoke about that too earlier, how Ryan Reynolds probably was nominated for that award, which is quite interesting. So if you missed that video too, I spoke about that last week. Yes, so Ryan has received a lot of criticism for the way he treats his wife, and he speaks to his wife this week, which doesn't really look good. And someone actually sent me this GQ interview that he did when he was interviewing himself. His alter ego was interviewing Ryan Reynolds. His alter ego is called Gordon Reynolds. And Gordon Reynolds was actually the one that Blake Lively sent a big thank you to in the credits of It Ends With Us, which makes me believe that all the bad things that Ryan Reynolds is doing or saying, he's just going to blame them on Gordon Reynolds. I'm starting to think that there is something very off here. Anyways, in this interview where he interviewed himself, he said this.
Looks like we got 2 beards in the room.
3 if you count your wife. Let's dive in. What's Eva Mendes like?
I don't know.
What's Blake Lively like?
She's wonderful.
No. What's Blake Lively like?
You're a f***ing pig.
Right. How many times have you met your children?
What are you talking about? I see my kids every single day and night.
Cool. The cameras aren't rolling.
I think
we're done here.
Stop.
Stop it.
Don't.
I'm done here.
I love you.
Yeah, it's really disturbing that he has this alter ego that is being kind of outrageous. And I think this is what you see in children a lot. You know, they have this best friend that says all the mean things and that they blame things on this imaginary friend. And I think Gordon is a part of Ryan Reynolds' personality that he's trying to hide. And he just created this alter ego so he can get away with being vicious and mean to people. And here's a story saying that Ryan Reynolds' latest joke on Blake Lively isn't landing how he thinks. Sure, Reynolds framed the whole story as a self-deprecating joke, but it's worth noting the humor only really works if you ignore the optics. And this person who wrote the article said that, as my second grade teacher once said, if you have to tell people you're kidding, then you aren't telling a joke. You're being a bully. I thought that was such a great quote because I've seen that, especially with Blake, a lot of times when she says something mean, she always adds, just kidding. And it continues to say that, to be clear, Lively has held her own in their long-running bits with Instagram unfollows, snarky captions, and her own playful burns. The difference is that trolling online reads differently than hurling an F-bomb at your wife mid-event, no matter how desperate you are to talk to Bill Murray. Because it's never funny to throw an F-bomb at your significant other. I don't see any scenario where that's actually funny. And it says here that ultimately Reynolds and Lively's entire public persona rests on the idea that they're in on the joke together. But when the punchline veers into profanity at your partner's expense, it raises a question fans have been circling for years. Is this still just playful trolling, or is the joke hinting at something a little more insidious about their dynamic? I feel that this has been Ryan Reynolds' sense of humor the entire time, but I don't think that Blake had this sense of humor before she met him, and she's just been molded into believing that these things are really funny, and she played along with it. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section. Also, notably, the couple hasn't been seen together for a very long time. Ryan's been busy promoting John Candy, the documentary. He's been in several cities. He arranged this whole tour called Ryan Reynolds with Friends, where you can go and watch him on stage being funny, telling funny stories before he shows the movie, serving drinks that I also spoke about the other day. I didn't actually know that John Candy was a recovering alcoholic, which makes that cocktail menu that he shared at the event really, really tone deaf. Anyways, same thing they did at It Ends With Us premiere party when Blake was promoting the DV movie with cocktails named after the abuser in the movie. So now, while Ryan is out there promoting John Candy, Blake is with her kids in Disneyland. She was sharing some photos yesterday. Someone also sent me a short video of her being spotted in Disneyland. You couldn't see her face there, but I could see that. Now you see that she's wearing the same outfit as she is in these pictures. So she's there by herself with the kids while Ryan is out there on his own with his own agenda. Adding to that, there's another story here that says Blake Lively feels humiliated by how Ryan Reynolds has been treating her lately. It says here that it looks like the relationship of Hollywood iconic couple Blake and her husband Ryan is going through rough waters. If sources are to be believed, their marriage has become toxic and they fight most of the time. I can imagine them fighting a lot right now. They're under a lot of pressure with this lawsuit. And I would think that this is the time where they should be there for each other and support each other all the time. Instead, Ryan is going off on his own and Blake is taking care of the kids, bringing them to Disneyland. The source says that Ryan and Blake's marriage faces some tough times. According to sources, Hollywood iconic couple is at each other's throats and fighting around the clock. It's constant. They fight all the time. The insider further revealed that the F-bombs aren't playful anymore. They have turned nasty and it's wearing them both down. Wow. So this comes from the source that I've been speaking about before, Rob Shutter, who has a lot of inside info. He's got a lot of sources in the industry here. It says here that while many laughed at the revelation, the F-bomb thing that he told on stage, insider claims it told a different story of their marriage. They used to tease each other for fun, but lately it feels cruel. Blake feels humiliated, and Ryan acts like she should just take it. And the source is adding that that kind of energy isn't sustainable. The source went on to say that their marriage has become toxic, which might harm their relationship in the run. I think that harms relationship a lot if their marriage is toxic. Anyways, it says the fighting is constant, the swearing relentless, and neither one seems willing to back down. Wow, this sounds really intense. Anyways, parts of the interview that I showed yesterday where Ryan was telling this story about Tom Arnold in 3 or 4 different ways, there were some other interesting quotes from that interview that I wanted to share. It feels to me now that whenever Ryan is talking about John Candy, he's basically trying to talk about himself. And the way that he's explaining how John Candy was, he's telling us in a sense that that's the way he is. Let me know what you think when you hear these quotes.
He was a good person off screen as well. And he was a good person when nobody was watching, which is, I think, very important nowadays because we live in a society that's incredibly curated and cultivated, and we see nothing but perfection on social media.
Yeah, Ryan wants us to think that when nobody's watching, he's also a really good guy. And then he said this.
You actually can kind of, navigate waters, even as choppy as Hollywood, and still maintain some sense of soul and integrity and purpose and kindness, all those things. And they matter. You know what? Nobody in my business lasts as long as they do if you're an ass.
Again, I feel Ryan is talking about himself here. He's like, if I were an ass, I would not survive in this business this long. You're all misunderstanding my actions and my words here. It's all Gordon Reynolds who are doing all these things and saying all these things. It's not me. I think right now, Ryan is really trying to make people believe that he is kind of John Candy, and he keeps talking about his kindness and how he's a people pleaser the entire time, and then he can relate to that so much. Anyways, we have to talk a little bit about what's happening now with Emma Watson and J.K. Rowling. I don't know if you've seen that interview. I think it's got millions and millions of views already. She was on a podcast On Purpose with Jay Shetty, and she talked about a lot of other things, why she took a step back from the industry, but she also talked about her feud with J.K. Rowling. So if you missed that, Emma Watson was very vocal about her feelings towards J.K. Rowling's opinions surrounding transgenders and politics surrounding transgenders. I remember she used the word menstruating women one time and she got so much backlash from that. Anyways, they really disagreed on what a woman is, and J.K. Rowling got so much heat from this. I remember they did this Harry Potter reunion that I watched on TV, and J.K. Rowling wasn't invited. That to me was just so cruel. But anyways, now Emma Watson said in this interview, she kind of backpedaled a little bit, saying that, I hope people can have different opinions and still love each other.
It's my deepest wish that I hope people who don't agree with my opinion will love me, and I hope I can keep loving people who I don't necessarily share the same opinion with.
In this interview, she really chose her words so carefully. And I think what's happening right now, people are a little bit less scared of being opinionated about this subject. And that's something that also J.K. Rowling points out now, because now she has responded to this interview that Emma Watson did, and she's not happy with it. She wrote a long post on X responding to Emma, saying, amongst other things, that Emma Watson is ignorant of how ignorant she is. She also said that she once get a letter, a little note from Emma Watson saying, I'm sorry what you're going through. And she's pointing out here that Emma Watson had her phone number. Why didn't she just pick up the phone and call her about this? And I have to say, when she's explaining here, the threats that she got from this is really horrendous. The threats that J.K. Rowling received during this period of time. And Emma Watson knows what that is like. Because I remember when I interviewed Emma Watson, I think the movie was called Noah. And at that time, she had issues with a stalker and she was terrified. It was a horrible experience for her. So for her to go out so strongly against J.K. Rowling, she knows what that implies. She knows the hate that she would get from that. That being said, I've always really liked Emma Watson. I think she's been fearless in many ways. And I don't think that J.K. Rowling's opinions have been hateful. I feel it's a little cowardly to come out now and kind of backpedal a little bit. Either you should just say, I was wrong about this. It was hurtful to her and I want to apologize. That would have been the right thing to do, if you ask me. But anyways, I don't know if J.K. Rowling would actually accept an apology at this point. It doesn't look like it from what she's saying on X. In this post, she keeps saying how privileged Emma Watson is. She became a millionaire, billionaire when she was in her teenage years. She hasn't really lived life as a regular person. So how can she even put herself in the shoes of a regular person? And Rowling said that I'd be astonished if she's been in a high street changing room since childhood and her public bathroom is single occupancy and comes with a security man standing guard outside the door. And she continues to say that she doubts that Emma would ever find herself sharing a prison cell with a male artist who's identified into the women's prison. I doubt that too. And she's saying, I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. I see her point. She is the one that gave Emma the role of a lifetime that made her a millionaire or a billionaire who never has to work again. And then she tears her down in public like that. And she says, I therefore understand from my own life experience what the trashing of women's rights in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated means to women and girls without her privileges. The greatest irony here is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interviews to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of track I suspect she's adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it was. I might never have been this honest. I think there's so many hurt feelings here. And I think this is one of the worst things that comes from cancel culture. People being threatened on their life because they don't have the same opinion as the social narrative is expecting at that point in time. And now we see that things are changing and most people aren't afraid to be a little bit more open about their opinions. And I think so many of these things could be avoided if people would just be open for more debates and not judging people for not believing and thinking the same things as they do. Anyways, I think this whole feud is really sad for both women, and I think both women are super talented and amazing in their own ways. So I hope they work this out. Anyways, on a lighter note, Taylor Swift's album is coming out on Friday, October 3rd. And she put out a little teaser video today saying that be the first to get your hands on Life of the Showgirl. The Crowd is Your Kingdom edition on Summertime Spritz Pink Shimmer Vinyl. Only at Target. Select stores open at midnight while supplies last. Okay, she's really opening up the opportunity here for people to stand in line for hours during their entire night. Thankfully, it's a Friday, so people don't have to go to work on Saturday, or most people don't work on Saturdays. But anyways, now we're finally going to find out what songs are about Blake Lively. We had 3 guesses so far. One was number 6, Ruin the Friendship. Most people jumped on that one saying that's definitely about Blake. Then we have number 10 called Cancelled, which also definitely could be about her. And then we have number 1, which is called The Fate of Ophelia, which is the name of Blake's character in Savages. And it's also based on, in Taylor's own words, is based on Shakespeare's Hamlet. And Ophelia, in that story, who ends up drowning surrounded by flowers. So if you are a Target, you can also get probably Blake Brown at discount prices. I've seen there's been a lot of sales on Blake Brown. If they're still there, I don't know if they actually removed her products from Target now. But I can't wait to hear the lyrics and speculate what they're about and who they're about. So yeah, let's be patient. This week is going to be exciting, I have a feeling. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate your support and all the tips that you're sending me on Instagram or on my email, flossandtalk@gmail.com. So please keep doing that. And if you haven't subscribed yet, or if you've been unsubscribed, please check if you have and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode of Floss and Talk ever. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Yeah, we floss and talk.